G'day, I'm Steve. Welcome to the workshop. This is Woodworking Masterclass and part 2 of making a wooden mallet. In part 1, what we did was made the mallet head. We cut the angles at 2 degrees, put the mortise in top and bottom, and that was tapered, so it's wider at the top than the bottom, and we squared most things off. Now it's time to make the handle, and once we fitted the handle, we can start customising the mallet to suit whatever occasion we would like. I've got a piece of what we call black bean, and as you can see, it's got a straight grain. So to measure how I want the handle to be shaped to go into here is really quite easy. What I'll do is plane this down to the width of the top of the hole I've got here. And as I said at the beginning of this project, it is a hand tool project, so I'll use a hand plane. But you could just as easily rip it on a bandsaw, rip it on a table saw, or put it through a thicknesser. And seeing I'm not going to glue this, I'll put candle wax on the top and the back of the plane. It's pretty darn close. Close enough for me at the moment. Get the mallet head, pencil, ruler. Now I would come down about 30 mil from the handle, work out if there's a top and a bottom to the handle. So I might have this at the top. Measure down 30 mil, put a mark, put the head of the mallet where that mark is. See if you can get it pretty square to the mark. Draw a line at the bottom of where the mallet head is. Now divide this piece of timber in half. That's basically what we've got. A line across the top where the head of the mallet is, the bottom of the head of the mallet, and then a line dividing this bit of timber all the way through. And the width of the bit of timber is equal to or just a little bit above what the width of the top hole is. The length, by the way, isn't all that critical, except it's got to be longer than you need. And in this case, that's that width. Now the bottom hole is actually 40 mil wide from there to there. So on the bottom mark, where the bottom of the head is, divide 40 and put 20 each side of that line. And then with a ruler, join the outside line to the mark you just made at the exit hole of the mallet. Now it's a question of putting a different taper on the handle part. As I discussed last week, if you've got a piece of tapered timber, you just put your hand on until you find a comfortable width. Now get that widest point and put it about halfway. So in this case it was 38 mil. Well, that's what I remember from last time. So it's 19 mil either side. It's there. So now what I do is go from the bottom line you drew, where the exit hole was, down through this mark here. Then once you've marked those, work out about how long you want the handle, and it's just a suck it and see job really. That is a nice length of handle for me, and yet there's another mallet I made recently which is a lot more ornate, but I find that the head just feels a little bit out of balance. It works well, but I just like a longer handle, and you can see that it's got an extra inch or so on it. For your information, my handle there is 325mm long, and this smaller handle is about 300 long. When you've got those sizes, then it's just a matter of personal preference, how long you want your handle to be. You can place your mallet head on top and, no, that's way too long. And obviously if I cut it there, that's way too short. And from this line where the handle comes out of the mallet, I then draw another tangent down to the bottom of what I perceive is the bottom of the mallet. And this is all very subjective, and it's all down to personal tastes. Now the beautiful thing by doing it this way, you've got extra hanging over the top, so if your taper's a little bit too wide, it can be filled in here. You've got extra taper at the bottom, so if it's a little bit tight, you can, and we will, custom fit it using a spoke shave. And then down here, you've got a nice, gentle taper, but you can change that once you get it in, and you can alter it by cutting it up or extending a little bit more if that's what you need for the balance. What I'll do now is go over to the bandsaw and cut down that angle and this angle, and then cut up from here up. That way we've got an angle coming up here, then it flares out up there. Alright, now it's not as neat as I could have done it, I must admit, but we'll give it a trial fit. And it's starting to go. So what we've got to do is just work on these angles so we can bed it down a little bit further. Now to do that, because we've got a taper going down this way and then a shallower taper here, you can't do that just with a hand plane. But a spoke shave is just the tool for the job. There's a spoke shave. Again, a little bit of candle on it. This is an excellent wood. You can see where you've actually planed. Try fitting that. Going a bit further. Try it on the other side. Another fit. What you can do, if you want, is play around to get an absolutely zero tolerance on the inside, and that involves getting a little bit tighter into your corners with a chisel, or you could knock a little bit of a corner off your handle, but frankly it's a mallet, it's going to serve you well. I would prefer to spend time using it than spend time absolutely making it perfect. So we've got a little bit more hanging over the top than we bargained for. There's the pencil line we drew as the top of the mallet. So, you know, you can mess around and fit it so it's on that line, but I'm not going to worry about it. And I would say, obviously, the inside line is about here somewhere. So what I will do is I'll just come up 25mm from the head of the mallet, or an inch, put a mark along there. That's where I'm going to cut my mallet off. And then on the underneath side, I'll hang on to it until I find what I think is a comfortable position, which for me is about there. I would like a little bit hanging out from underneath the mallet, so I'm going to cut it off about there. So as I said, it's not a precise measurement, it is what you personally like. So we'll just cut those off. And again, use a docking saw if you like, or use a bandsaw. I'll use a handsaw, only because it's quicker for me to do this than take a camera over to the saw so you can see that. I'm not even going to put the cut line in there as I normally do. Trust my judgment. And there we go. And knock this off. And there is my mallet handle. So what I'm going to do now is refine it. Just going to tidy it up, smooth it over. But first of all, to take the squareness out, because this top is dead straight, you can leave it that way if you like, there's not a problem. But to add a bit of finesse to it, get the mallet jig that we made earlier for the sides and actually place it on the top. Now the way you do this, square edge and place it, this part here has the angle on it. So what I want is what would be the 90-degree straight edge up on the head of the mallet. The reason for that is because this has already got the tilt on the face. So if I put a 90-degree one there, we're actually going to get a 90 degrees from the face of the mallet along the head. To make it easier for yourself, the lines that you marked to find the centre, bring that over to the edge and then line it up, draw a line, flip it over, line it up, draw a line. If you want, bring those lines there across the face of the mallet on both ends. Get a plane and plane from here down to here, down to this line. So you're starting at nothing, down that's about 3 mil, I think, on both sides, so it's level across the top. Now of course you can do this on a drop saw as well, you can do it on a bandsaw, or if you've got a linisher, put it on the linisher and just rock it like that. But sticking with hand tools, I'm going to use a plane. You'll notice I'm just going from side to side and the back of the plane is actually lifted, so I'm not planing the whole top, I'm actually planing on a slope. I've just planed up to those lines there. Just got a bit more to take off here. And for that, I'm going to use a block plane. Going from side to side. I'm actually not planing straight, I'm actually skew planing. Now bear in mind, this does absolutely nothing for the performance of the mallet. It's merely decoration, if you like, or streamlining. Turn it over, have a look at the other side, and do exactly the same. You might want to renew that pencil light. And there you can see I've just planed up to the middle. You can keep it like that, you can clean it up with a bit of sandpaper, and continue to do it with a hand plane if you like. Now put the handle in. Oh, before we put the handle in, what I'm going to do is put a chamfer on the top, or I might even round it over a little bit. With that you could use a block plane or a spoke shave. In this case I think I'll use a spoke shave, but I'll show you how to do it with a block plane. You just roll it. Come in and roll it. But for my money, a spoke shave is a lot quicker. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do is where my handle comes out. Now I'm just going to clean this up and roll it over using a spoke shave. I haven't touched any sandpaper. It's all done with hand tools. I'll put this in. And there I have a mallet that'll serve me well and hopefully Bob won't eat. But I did say I'll show you how to personalise it and pretty it up. So, if you just want a mallet and you want it done quickly, look, I might even leave a little bit more than that on the top. If at any stage you find that, I don't know, this slides through, it's quite easy just to put a cut in there and tap a wedge in, which will flare it out. But honestly, I don't think that's ever going to come off. Well, that's it. Part 2 of a 2-part series on how to make a mallet. Hope you enjoyed it. In the beginning of part 1, I did say I'd show you how you can pretty them up and personalise them. And what I've decided to do is dedicate the next video purely to how you can personalise your mallet. And believe me, the results are absolutely stunning. Well, I was impressed, and it's right here in front of me on the bench. But I'm not going to show it to you until next week. So until then, this is Steve pulling the shed door down and saying, remember to keep it sharp, but more importantly, keep it safe and enjoy your woodwork. And like us on Facebook, join the e-workshop at woodworkingmasterclass.com.au, and next video I've got some, what I think is exciting news that I'll share with you then. Be safe, look after yourselves, bye for now. Hey Bob, seeing that, you know, you started eating this, do you want to finish eating it?